Good Sunday morning, everybody. My name is Kevin Marheine, and I am joined today by Joe Wilmot again for another game preview as the Detroit Lions will be taking on the New England Patriots later on today. Uh, we are coming to you live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. So depending on which one of those channels you like best, search for the Lions Grid, give us a follow and a like, and you'll be able to catch all of our content when we go live Sunday mornings and Monday afternoons as we do the pregame and postgame shows. Joe, happy to have you back here again. This post or pregame show with me this week. Last week, Joe, we were both in on the Lions to get a win over the Seahawks, and after a rather spectacular game from an offensive perspective for both teams, unfortunately, the Lions fall to 1-3. I know I sort of gave my thoughts on the loss on Monday's show, but Joe, just wanted to give you a couple seconds here to sort of talk about what you saw in that 48-45 loss that the Lions had last week.
Well, I was out listening. It was a little bit annoying to start after like a third down and like 16 and run blitz on, and apparently they just all the blitzers, like 25 yards in to the end by 2 or 3 scores, and then I was like, with it's done. The Lions aren't coming back. I got curious later on, so I turned on what the score was. Like Lions 48 down 3. And I'm like, they came all the way back, being down 3 scores to being this close, and this is being this close in this ball game. The first away for Seattle. Seattle had everything under control. So for the Lions to come back and score 22 points, it was like, yeah, I'm happy. Points to the number one scoring offense in the league now, but to have a defense that's that bad, Patricia this week. So I don't know if he's the offensive coordinator. That's what I hear. He still has some ties to defense. But the Detroit Lions, Aiden Hutchinson, he has issues, So I'm very disappointed in that game. I picked them to win. They're 1-3. There's a 500 finish. 7-9 or 9-7 or 9-8.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly, at least that's improvement from last year. Obviously, they only had the 3 wins, but I think anytime you have an offense that's sort of tracking as the number one in the league, you sort of you would hope that they could do a little better, maybe challenge for the playoffs, especially in a year where the best receiver on the Packers is Alan Lazard. You'd think there'd be maybe a chance they could compete for the NFC North, but it just seems like the defense is at least another year, if not 2, away from playing at a level to match what the offense is. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. And of course, today, as you mentioned, a little bit of revenge going on as they will be traveling to New England, and Matt Patricia on that coaching staff for the Patriots. I think it's very confusing what his role is with the organization at the moment. Belichick making him, I think he's definitely involved in the offense, but no one really knows the breakdown there of who's doing what. So, real interesting. But as we take a look at today's game, I think the first place to start, Joe, is taking a look at some of these key injuries, some of the key Lions that'll be out. This will be 2 weeks now without Swift and Chark, and joining them is Chris Harris on the defensive side of things. I think from an offensive perspective, we saw Jamal Williams. The receiving core is banged up. We'll talk about it in a second that I believe Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's questionable heading in today, but he did practice on Friday, so it looks like he'll be available So the wide receiving core is definitely beat up. Um, Jamal Williams, like I said, filled in for Swift, but the defensive injury to Harris here, I think, is actually of the three of these starters that are out, is probably the biggest one, just because the defense seems to be there's not depth at defense. They're like we said, they've struggled defensively, and they don't seem to have the same talent. They don't seem to be able to do the next man up the same way that the offense has, because like I said, this is week number 2 with Swift out, and still the Lions are the highest scoring offense in the league. So from the offensive side, I think they'll find a way without Swift and Shark. But the defensive injury is certainly one that I think could play a big part. And then, of course, on the Patriots side of things, um, their big injury is Mac Jones being out, still recovering from that concussion.
Give the brother of a chance to get in there at the defensive end spot for Charles Harris, and rookie or first year player this year, to see if he can make an impact. I know that on the Madden depth chart, Hutchinson on Romeo Okwara injured or still on the injured reserve, who generally gets 5 to 8 sacks for us every year. That's a potential rush through, also injured. So having probably invite an Aaron Glenn to Milquara and get him some playing time. It'll be interesting to see that, because others are on the team. It'd be cool if we had Quara brothers, and it'd be cool if we had both others. The other guy plays for either Chicago or Green Bay or Division, but it was like I was trying to get him to sign him up, and he was like a 71 overall, but he money. I was like, "What's your problem, man? It's money. You're a 71 overall." Like, that was kind of something. But yeah, definitely have another week to rest his and I was saying Brown was going to be out, but I didn't know he practiced on Friday. That's good news, but you still got to look for backup role and fill the void.
Yeah, it'll still be interesting to see. I think he is going to be more of a game time decision, so it's not guaranteed that he'll be out there today. But I think certainly encouraging that we saw him practice on Friday, and also Jonah Jackson may be back as well. Again, he's also listed as questionable, so both players, when listed as questionable, definitely not a guarantee they play today. But that could be a big lift for the Lions as well, because. They do have they are starting to get to see a few injuries pile up on that offensive line. And really, the offensive line has been really dominant for the Lions. And in the running game in particular, they've been using a sixth lineman in there a lot to help block and open up holes, especially once they get down there towards the red zone. So having Jonah Jackson, your starting, Pro Bowl guard, back in there would then allow Dan Skipper, who's filled in very admirably, allow him to be that sixth lineman. And I think at that point, you're really looking really good from an offensive line standpoint when Dan Skipper's your sixth guy and can come in there and help open up holes. And I what I've seen so far out of the offensive line have loved. We'll talk about them a little bit later on here, but I think getting Jonah Jackson back is going to be a big thing for them, because they've been playing well without him, and he's definitely one of their better linemen. So getting him back is only going to improve a unit that I think so far has been playing the best for the Lions. So we talked about it a little bit too, and it sort of ties into injuries and what what you want to see from Aiden Hutchinson, Joe. And I think a key to this game is going to be really making that rookie QB feel uncomfortable. You saw that the Packers were able to get home against him a couple of times, and it wasn't a pretty game that the Packers won against the Patriots. But they were able to get the W, and in the end, the difference was being able to get pressure on that rookie quarterback. And so with Bailey Zappi again likely to start today for Mac Jones, I think it's going to be important and certainly an opportunity for this Lions defense to get home, get some sacks, and really be able to. Um, they need to in order to really affect the outcome of this game.
Yeah, quarterback. The defense needs to step up and handle a third string quarterback and be able to so that they can come away, go into the bye 2-3.
Yeah, to your point, when you're playing a team's third string quarterback, it is a game you should win. So the Lions very much need to get this win here. And we've talked about it, and going beyond just the pass rush, I think the biggest thing that I want to see out of the Lions defense isn't necessarily that I expect them to get things figured out in a week. I just need them to suck less. Like, not be as bad. Like, you don't have to be able to turn the ship around. You don't have to turn the defense into an elite unit inside of the span of a week. I just need you to make less mistakes. I need you to just, not be as bad as you were last week against Seattle. And I think that's something that they can achieve, right? Like, it's not asking them to suddenly become the Baltimore Ravens of the late 90s, early 2000s with, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and just being this dominant defense. I just need them to just not be awful or as awful as they were last week. And I think if they can do that and really makes at least some contributions or not make as many, allow as many big plays to happen, it should position the Lions, especially if this offense can keep rolling, in a position to win this game again against the third string quarterback for the Patriots.
Got to take into account that you're also playing Bill Belichick. Have a game plan to try to get the victory because an elite coach, he's won all those Super Bowls. Coach, so it's going to be a tough game against Bill Belichick.
Absolutely. If there's a coach in the league that can take advantage of the struggles the Lions are having, definitely Bill Belichick is that guy who can come up with that game plan with his staff to do that. Um, Again, we I think the big thing here, and the reason I think that the Lions have been so dominant on offense has been this offensive line. And I think if they can keep dominating the way they have been, again, if they get Jonah Jackson back today and that helps them, that'd be fabulous. But I think the key to that offensive line dominating is that it helps them establish that running game, and it helps give Jared Goff plenty of time to throw the ball. And so if they can do that, I think offensively at home, because three of their four games they've played so far this season have been at home. You did see a little bit of drop off in terms of the offense when they played that one away game. It wasn't a huge drop off. They went from scoring 30 plus points to scoring 27. But I think the key for them today in their second away game is going to be, again, letting that offensive line really set the pace, let them get that running game going, and then making sure that they're giving Jared Goff time to throw the ball. Because the Patriots, I don't think the Patriots are one of those teams that has like a sneaky pass rush. They have a lot of good veteran players that can do it, but they're not like a team that's super known for their ability to pass rush. They're not like super flashy. They don't have like Joey Bosa or one of the Watt brothers on the edge where you're just like, oh, you got to really watch out for that guy. But they do often find ways to get home and put pressure on the quarterback. So I think, a real big key is going to be this offensive line being able to come together and provide Jared Goff the same type of time that he's had at home, because he's shown, even with limited weapons due to injuries, that if you give him the time to throw the ball, he can be very effective. And then last but not least, I think if we can see Hawkinson keep the momentum going. Of course, last week, Joe, he had a career day, 8 receptions, 179 yards, and 2 touchdowns. If you had him in fantasy football, you were very happy. He had been a little sluggish the first couple of weeks, but definitely came out the gates last week with a huge effort. You know, obviously we believe Amon-Ra St. Brown should be playing today. But even if he does play today, I'm sure it's going to take him a week or two to be back up to full speed as he gets back in there for the Lions. And the wide receiver core is still banged up. Josh Reynolds will be playing, but both Quentin Cephas and DJ Chark out. So I think there's still a pretty big void there and a good chance for Hawkinson if the Patriots decide. It's Bill Belichick, so I'm sure he saw last week and certainly is scheming his defense to try and take that weapon away. But certainly a opportunity for Hawkinson here, considering the injuries to the Lions. All right. Well, those I believe are the keys to the game, Joe. All that's left to do before kickoff here is decide and decide who we think is going to be winning today's game. So I'll hand it over to you, and I'll let you inform the people about who you're taking in this game.
Seems to win the game, they end up losing. So your psychology right now, and I'm going to choose the Detroit Lions. So by choosing them to lose the game, so I'm going to choose the Detroit Lions to move and by 7 points.
I like it. I know coming into this game, I believe the last line I saw was that the Patriots were favored by 3, so just by a field goal, and they are at home, so that that's not really a surprise. A little bit surprising considering that it is their third string quarterback. I think the line, the biggest it got was up to 3.5, so just over a field goal. So from a betting perspective, it did seem like the Lions are the underdog, but I think you got to win this game, right? It's the third string quarterback. He's a rookie. I think there should be a little bit of added fire for the Lions because, again, Matt Patricia is going to be on that other sideline. And a lot of these guys are players that played underneath that regime. So, I think there's going to be extra motivation there. And I think it's if you look at the games so far this season, the Lions have lost all three of their losses have come by less than a touchdown. So they've definitely been in games. I think and I hope that the Lions defense, again, I don't need them to have improved everything. I don't need them to have fixed everything. I just need them not to be as bad as they were last week. And if they can do that, I think they can get a win here against the Patriots. So hopefully, Joe, this will be I guess it's an experiment at this point. We both went with the Lions last week, and unfortunately the Seahawks win. If we both go with the Lions this week and the Patriots win, I might have to take a look at the formula and start making some different picks after we come out of the bye week because if both of us picking the Lions equals Lions losses, then we'll have to try something new. So, wow. Just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, this has been the Lions Grid. Our Week 5 preview as the Lions head to Foxborough, Massachusetts to take on the Patriots. We're coming to you live on YouTube Live, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. So again, if you want to follow the show and you're a fan of what you've seen here today, make sure you search for us on any one of those platforms, whichever is your favorite. Give us a like and subscribe, and you'll be able to tune into both our pre-game and post-game episodes. Joe, thank you again for joining here on today's episode of the Lions Grid. Always good to have you here. And then for everyone else, we will see you on Monday afternoon as we take a look at the results of today's game, and hopefully we can celebrate a little bit of a Lions win as they head into the bye week. Thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you during the next episode.